Okay, somebody sent me this as a direct message on TikTok. And they say, "Dear John, I hope you will forgive the forwardness of this message. It's not the sort of thing I would usually write, particularly not on something as facile as TikTok. But I have found your content thoughtful and surprisingly grounding. For some time now, I have felt rather disconnected from what I can only call my higher self. It has left me with a persistent sense of aimlessness and at times a feeling that life lacks real meaning. If it's not too much trouble, could you offer any advice on how to reconnect with it? With thanks." Higher self. I'm not a big fan, as I've said before, of hierarchy. And the idea of higher self, you can't have higher self without having lower self. And it's that thing of like, oh, my stupid old lower self and my wonderful higher self that I fail to connect with on a regular basis. So in my experience, there are lots of different parts of ourselves on the inside. Some parts are more conscious than others, but there shouldn't be, well, should. For myself, don't tolerate any hierarchy. All parts are equal. No part is better than the other. And I have compassion for them all. And they all have unconsciousness. Even the very conscious parts have unconsciousness. So I've found that the idea of a higher self, it's tricky because it separates you on the inside and it creates a hierarchy. And I mean, it's soupy and black in there. It is very hard to know what is real and what isn't real. What am I just imagining something or not? So if you feel like you're getting a message from your higher self, maybe you're not. Maybe that's just some sort of cognitive bias you have, and you just want to hear. You just want to hear what you think your higher self's telling you. And we've all done that. Whereas if you have this nice sense of, okay, I've got all these different parts. Some parts are very conscious and they're further back. They're much deeper into the mystery. The frontal part, the part that has to deal with the postman and deal with the gas bill and talk to people and make videos, that part is the least conscious part of me anyway. And yet it has to do everything. It's the interface between me and existence. So how could I not have compassion for that part? Because it's doing its best with very limited perspective. Whereas the deeper parts, they've got more perspective. But they also have unconsciousness, so they can make mistakes too. And when they make a mistake, they fall to pieces because they're not used to it. Because most of the time they're not up against their unconsciousness, where the frontal part, all the time it's like I'm discovering, I'll snap at somebody and I'll go, oh God, what did that happen? They triggered something in me, let me look at that. It goes on all the time. So the other thing about a higher self is it leaves you, there are loads of psychic entities floating around in the psychic world who would just love to pretend to be your higher self and love to give you lots of wisdom, and in the psychic world you've got the friendly entities and you've got the unfriendly entities. They're all facing the wrong way, they're all avoiding the mystery, and they're not really going to help you because you can get everything that you need from the mystery. So the idea of a higher self, you kind of leave yourself open to something sitting beside you whispering in your ear, telling you all this great stuff. And it is great stuff because they're deeper than existence, so they're in a deeper reality. But ultimately the mystery is better because it's the power behind everything. So I would let go of the idea of a higher self. That'd be my suggestion. And then you can deal with what's going on. And it sounds like what's going on is you had a period where you had a feeling of being connected with the deeper parts of you. And now you don't have that feeling. Because generally what happens in consciousness, in my experience, is we have an insight. And when you have an insight, it's like a bolt of lightning into a very dark, not a bolt of lightning, a bolt of light, or a beam of light, into a very dark place. And it can be, you know, it can take your breath away. It can be so like amazing and beautiful. But the circle of our consciousness increases and we get used to it. It becomes integrated into us. And we don't have the feeling anymore. We have the knowledge of the insight, but we don't have the feeling. Like feelings come and go. You know, it's like the feeling of love is a good one, because people get very hung up on this whole thing of like, oh, I don't feel it anymore. Well, like the feeling of love comes and goes. But if you love somebody, like, doesn't matter who it is, your partner, your child, you know, they can annoy you. I mean, we can all be so annoying. So they can annoy you, they can, you know, do something, then you feel very hurt about it, and you can be very upset. But if somebody said to you, well, do you not love them anymore? And you go, no, of course I love them, they're just driving me nuts. So love is a knowledge, and then the feeling of love goes up and down. And it's the same with this feeling of like being connected to the deeper self. And, oh, I can really feel that my life has meaning. Now, when you don't have that feeling, that doesn't mean that your life doesn't have any meaning anymore. It just means you don't have the feeling. But the knowledge is there if you let go of the idea of the feeling and go, well, if you come right into, that's why meditation is so great. Because in meditation, you come into the wonder of being alive, breathing, having a body, being able to have sensation, to see things, just to be able to see things. Like if you were able to put on a virtual reality suit and to experience some amazing, you know, landscape, alien landscape, that was as real as this is, it would be, you know, people would be there all the time. Look how much time people spend watching telly or scrolling on little devices. You know, imagine if it was as real as this. You know, people would never come out of there. So being here is amazing. Being alive is amazing. Being in this wonderful thing is amazing. So if your life feels like it doesn't have any meaning, that could be part of crossing the desert, where you just have to sort of stay with it and go, well, I know my life has meaning, I'm just not feeling it at the moment. And I don't know what the next thing to do is. I don't know if I have to do anything. You just have to stay with that as much as you can. And look at, well, how is the mystery expressing itself? Outside me? Inside me? What's the mystery up to? How can I be in tune with it? These are the sort of things I ask myself all the time. So yeah, I would encourage you to let go of the higher self and love all the different parts, or be compassionate to all the different parts, the conscious parts and the not so conscious parts, and breathe, take the next step, and before you know it, things will have changed a bit.